Welcome back, everybody. This is Mark 147. My name is Greg. I am the Bat Daddy, and I am with my boys here. Ross, we are just a couple of geeks chasing squirrels across the multiverse. How are you doing, brother?
I'm enjoying the fact that we're doing a show. Unfortunately, it's not the lawyer show. Lawyer show. She-Hulk, baby. It's been a week of green.
We have a She-Hulk, and we are definitely going to talk about that tonight. That is for sure. But what's up, man? We sorry it's been we took 2 weeks off, then had a show, then took last week off. It's just this is summertime, end of summertime, vacations. We all have families, we all have stuff to take care of. So plus it was kind of a low time with things going on. Things are starting to rev back up. We got a lot of stuff coming up soon down the chute. New show this week. I'm ready to talk about it, man.
And we went to FanFest.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. And we went to FanFest.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Yes. Well, before we start talking about the big three tonight, we got the Parade, we got the Sandman, and we got She-Hulk. Big three shows to talk about. We do some news and talk about just things we've been watching this week. What's up, man?
Well, I'm going to lead it off right now with the number one thing that I thought I read this week, and that was the fact that it seems like Ezra Miller may finally be getting their ass handed to them. Let me get the words out right. It seems like with all the wonderful Warner Brothers shakeup with Discovery coming in, that they're finally saying, hey, it's time to play ball or like get out. Like, which one do you want to do? Do you want your movie to come out?
Right.
I mean, I feel like he should be arrested. Personal opinion, but
dude, you'd be amazed how many people I see online defending him. And once again, I don't know all the details. I really don't, but I know what I see, and I get it. You can't, go by everything you see. But
yeah,
Sarah, what's up?
There's a Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got me in a mini-me. So.
I hear you.
Sorry,
we
guys.
just kicked it off. We haven't even gotten any topics yet. We were just kind of talking about some news, and Ross brought this Ezra Miller Flash stuff. What say you on it?
Again?
But
really?
it's the opposite. It's the opposite way this time. Now he's being told that he has to play ball. Mm-hmm. Now he's making, public apologies on social media platforms. So
sounds like a little accountability is out there. Is what it sounds like.
Sounds like
somebody finally pulled
someone
a
got slapped with PR.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah,
man.
I don't know. It's interesting.
I like Ezra Miller as the Flash. I like him as an actor, but I can't get behind a guy who's a piece of shit. And once again, I only know what I see. I don't know the guy personally. I don't know how true any of that stuff is. I just know what I see and what I hear, and it just sounds like this guy's not a good guy to be around.
When there's smoke, there's fire, so it
right.
can't be but so much.
Yeah, I'm pretty well. I'm pretty good. Like, I don't need him as the Flash. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we just push on.
He was a good Flash, but like when I look at it, like it's not like recasting Iron Man.
So I feel like there's been so much like of a chasm of like when you first saw him versus now. Like, I don't think it really matters if you recast it. I don't care.
Yeah, true.
I'm almost to the point like, I don't even really care about this movie anymore. I don't even care about the damn story. Because it's so ludicrous.
Yeah. Like I unfortunately, if they haven't already shown us trailers, I wish it just would have got wiped off the face of the earth with Batwoman, or in the place of Batwoman, or is it Batgirl, Batwoman, whichever one it is, whichever one they're doing. So the fact is that they can't do that because we've already seen stuff from the movie.
Yeah, we've seen it. Like I just can't believe they've gotten that far, and it's even a question. I mean, I get once again everything that's going on, but it's just so crazy that it gets this close after we've heard for so long about the Flash. But
we're in what I like to call the Chinese finger trap of fuckery, and that means that there's no way out.
Write that one down.
The more that you tug, the worse that it gets.
That is a pretty good one. That's like unevenosity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a great word.
But yeah. I mean, so there's that.
Yeah. What else, man?
Let's see. Star Trek Day got announced. We get Star Trek Day on September 8th, which is their little day where they basically just talk about what they're doing. It's kind of like their little mini. I mean, it's not even a celebration. It's really kind of just a bunch of interviews.
It's no May the 4th, right? But
well, I mean, it's no Star Wars celebration. It's more like I guess if you were considered it to be like a fandom, except last year they did it all live on stage with a bunch of characters from different types of shows coming out.
Okay.
This year they're going to do like a big thing, like a big video tribute to Nichelle Nichols, and I imagine they're just going to do more of their Comic-Con panels that they were talking about. So September 8th, I think it starts in the evening, if I remember correctly. I think last year was in the evening. Not a whole lot of news. You can kind of read about it when it gets done, but
yeah,
it's fun to watch if you're into it.
Yeah. I would hope that Star Trek gets a little more, maybe because I'm becoming a Star Trek fan. It's just one of these things that I wish growing up I would have paid more attention to, because I have a lot more fun with it now. Even though I'm having a great time with it now, learning all this stuff, but I feel like the new guy.
So I wonder why they choose September 8th. Why can't you do like April 5th? April 5th is First Contact Day.
Okay.
You would think that they would have a little bit more of a handle on it. Yes.
Well, Star Trek is really not known to have really great marketing ploys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think that the only reason why they kind of do it right now is because it's kind of like the fresh season break between everything. Because we've seen everything from this year. And so we're getting ready to start back on, oh Lord, what is it? August 25th, Lower Deck Season 3 comes out. Unless that's changed, but that was the last I heard when it was supposed to be coming out. So at the end of this month, and actually in like a week, next week.
And now couldn't find out at Dragon Con, Anson Mount's going to be there. Ethan Peck's going to be there. And I'm like, I would, if I had known, because that's like the one thing that I would love for them to come to GalaxyCon. That would be fantastic. But
you know what I would do? I would take a picture in front of Anson Mount's head so his hair was on mine, just so I could have it. And I'm like, I don't even need your face in the picture. Just give me your hair.
Yeah, there's a long list of. I even think Walter Koenig's going to be there. I mean, I'm like,
it was blowing up. It definitely had like a little trend thing.
Atlanta.
I saw a bunch of names. Yeah, I know.
Deal breaker. It was a deal breaker.
Never been to Atlanta. I don't think I'll ever go, unless I had to for any reason. But
I think if I'd paid more attention to it, I might have made it happen. Just because I'm like, I would just Anson Mount and Ethan Peck. Oh, I'd probably have like Tom Welling and Brendan Fraser.
Now, once again, Star Trek newbie here. Who is Anson
Mount? That's Christopher Pike.
Right, that's Pike. Yeah. I knew that one.
Strange Worlds, and Ethan Peck is
Spock.
Yeah,
who's that? Okay, gotcha.
That's Spock. Yes.
Gotcha. Didn't know the actor's name, but that's okay.
Which is Gregory Peck's grandson.
Yes, grandson? I do believe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Gregory Peck, the actor from what was it, like in the 60s?
Do you have it?
60s? What?
Do I have it?
I see Greg's face. I'm like, he's like,
oh, I have no idea, Gregory. I'm sure Peck. That if you like
of the Gregory line,
know who it is. Huh? Yeah, I probably know who it is, but I don't know who it is. Like if you showed him to me, I'd be like, oh, okay, I know that guy. But,
yeah, he was like from like the silver screen, like black and white movies into like the when I first saw him was the Horatio Hornblower movies. But I mean, that's when I watched like the the older movies and stuff. So I was just like,
Man, I haven't heard that in forever.
I know, right? I'm talking about the original, not like the remake from like what had Johan Gruffudd. God, I can never say his name right. He did like a remake of it. So yeah, I'm reaching deep.
Yeah, you are. I don't even know that last name.
Nope.
Johan Gruffudd, he was the one that played Mr. Fantastic in the last Fantastic Four movie, across from Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
The guy who played in Footloose?
No. He was also in
the last Fantastic Four movie? Wasn't that the old homeboy who played Goose's son that played Mr. Fantastic?
No.
Not that one. The other one.
Talking about the other
had like
ones.
the Fantastic Four 1 and 2, like the Silver Surfer, that kind of stuff.
The one with Jessica Alba?
Crowd.
Yeah, gotcha.
I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, sorry.
It's probably his last name that always throws me off.
Yeah, he's like, I think he's Welsh. So, and he also has this other. It was like another sci-fi show where it's like his character like was like died and always came back or something. I don't know, some crazy shit like that. I don't know. It was something. I can't ever remember the name of it, but anyways. Sorry, that was my squirrel.
You're good. Gotta have them. Makes sense. Well, Ross, did you have anything else news-wise, or
just old news? I mean, because we were talking about it, I definitely was making note of the Giancarlo Esposito speech where he was trying to make the sales pitch to become Xavier, which would be very interesting to see. Other than that, Thor's, like I said, Thor's close to coming out, so it could be on Disney Plus anytime. I think they just passed their theatrical run that was necessary. I think they do a 45-day need to run in theaters, and then normally they release about 70 days after it opens.
Has it been that long?
I know.
It was beginning of July, so I mean we're closing up on the 45-day thing.
That's crazy. It doesn't seem like that long. Well, I guess so.
Dude, and now having tickets are going to be on sale for Wakanda forever. That's in November. Tickets are going to be on sale for that. And what's the other one?
Well, the other one is
Black Adam. I don't know. Black Adam tickets are on sale.
Forget those. When are we going to see Rogue One?
Oh, that's happening now.
I know, and I wasn't even in on this little
this moment.
Well, no, not right now.
You were in the chat. You're always welcome. Yeah. This moment, so
I felt jealousy. I was like, "Oh man, like, did I make someone else feel jealousy? I don't know if I do that."
I know y'all had your little. Oh, we can do this. We can do this. I'm like,
no, I love the way Ross put it to me. He was like, "So apparently they're playing Rogue One, blah blah blah, in these theaters," and I was like, "So if this is your way of asking me if I'll go see Rogue One, the answer is yes, because it's a great movie."
See, I don't be third wheel on that one.
No, come on, cool.
Here's the thing: you can be any wheel that you want to, as long as you're not in a hallway by yourself in darkness. Because I mean, it doesn't bode very well at the end of that movie. So as long as you're like protected by the other rebels, you're good to go. And I'm feeling rebellious as hell. So,
all right. Well, if there's not a whole lot of the news, I got 2 words I'm going to say, and then I'm just going to say go. Cobra Kai.
Ooh.
Go. Because I know y'all, I like Cobra Kai. Don't get me wrong. It's a great show. My wife loves it too, but I'm not nearly as big of a fan as y'all. I know y'all love the show. So Cobra Kai, go.
Eagle Fang, baby. We're back as an Uber. I mean, come on. You give me 1 star because the van smells like beer? That's because it
is beer. The only thing that I can see that's probably going to just be annoying is going to be Robbie and Miguel. I'm like, are y'all going to still do this? Just build a bridge, get over it, dudes. I mean, you going to kick each other's ass again? Is Miguel going to put Robbie in the hospital? I mean, what the hell?
They left you open with that one roundhouse kick, and you're like, is homeboy going to knock him out? And I assume not, because, clearly for a trailer, they want to build a little bit of interest in going to see it. Well,
did you see Miguel's face when they were standing on the little deck right there? Because this right here looked a little dark. That looked a little dark.
So oh, good. Sorry.
I only worry about what they do here, right? Because as much as I want to see people fight and either kick the shit out of people or get the shit kicked out of them, I also don't think it's like, maybe we shouldn't do that for high schoolers. It's kind of like watching all the other things that we watch. So you're a little too much teenage angst, and you're like, if they were adults, like I would kind of get it. But high schoolers,
like I was telling you guys, it's like this season is probably going to hit a little different because I think my kids had just started karate, so they're like little white belts, and now one is an orange, one's about to get promoted to an orange. So I'm like,
nice.
Yeah, and to see the boy, like I was telling you guys, the way he can swing around nunchucks, it's a little scary. It's a mite scary. I'm like, holy shit, okay.
Wow. I wish I was good with nunchucks. That'd be awesome.
Don't worry, they've got a tournament tomorrow, so he's going to do his nunchuck kata. So I'll make sure to take a little vid.
Yeah, send some footage.
Yeah,
for sure.
So.
What was the phrase from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? A fellow nunchake, huh? What did he call him?
I can't remember.
Well, I'm curious to see, first of all, Silva. Is it Silva? Silver.
Mhm.
Silver. I'm thinking it's Anderson
Silver, yeah,
Silva.
at the beginning. All right.
Yeah, actually, a conversation about Anderson Silva a while back, so that's what's kind of stuck. So
Gumby
you
leg.
got, so you got Silver. So the end of last season, saw how he was kind of whittling himself in there, just being his little cobra self, snaking around in there. But I loved how we didn't forget about Crease.
Mm-hmm.
So are we gonna have a little Crease action maybe towards like end of the season?
I mean, he's got to make parole.
Yeah, because I mean he's making friends in prison.
Yeah. There's only two ways to do it. He's doing it the hard way.
Well, it's kind of like you walk in, it's like the biggest guy. Yeah. Gotta set dominance.
Okay, so hearing y'all talk about this, I gotta ask, how long can this show go before it suffers like Arrow fate or Arrow Flash type fate?
Well,
Like
this is 5.
this is 5 exactly. So this is, I feel like this is kind of like a make or break, not make or break season because it's a great show. But what I mean is this is a lot of times a turning point for a show.
I think
they either stay really good or they start to really tail off.
Well, because now you're bringing in some OGs now. You kind of got like Chosen. It's like I tell my kid, I'm like, you've got to watch at least the first Karate Kid movie to understand what's going on, and then maybe the second one. Maybe that, because I think now you're bringing in the nostalgia. You brought in the nostalgia factor last season.
Right.
So now I think what it is, it's like, all right, well, now you're bringing in the people from the past. You've already got the current established right now. So, and, you've seen how Daniel's kind of changed from, being that kid to where, who he is now. And he's been brought back down a peg, because I always thought he was a mite smug. Now, Johnny, I mean, yeah, Johnny was an ass. Douche, 100%. But, you saw his, but, Daniel was always like, well, I'm, this my way, because Mr. Miyagi always felt like, he said, this is the right way, but I'm not going to be an asshole about telling you how this is the right way. Of course, Johnny, with just gone. So I think this is probably going to be more like maybe a come to Jesus type season.
Right.
Because, they got knocked down low because, after... was it the all county? What was the tournament called? Or after the tournament, basically, they're supposed to close down their, both their dojos. So it's kind of like, all right, yeah, it's kind of like with a trilogy. The first one, everything's great. The second one, everything's just dark, awful, horrible. God, how you going to, come back from this?
Right.
Now it's almost like you're in the third where now you're going to pick it back up and build it, build it back up.
Full circle. Everything comes together.
But that's kind of how I'm feeling. So I guess it kind of does depend on how this season. I think the first 3 episodes are going to kind of set the tone.
Right.
I feel like it is.
Do we know if they have been approved or if they are planning on doing anything past this? I haven't heard anything about this being the final season, which I think if they planned on that, we would hear.
Well, it's like anything else. I mean, there's a lot of popularity with Cobra Kai. So if they can milk it for as long as they can, fine. I think if they go to a 6th season, I think that should be it.
Okay.
I think that would, my personal opinion, I think that's the furthest they should take it.
All right.
If they go past the 5th.
That's kind of what I'm wondering about shows now is like, how long is too long for a show to go on? Because there's some stories that like, I want to hear the story, but if you're getting to a point where you're just doing a money pool and you're just putting out crap, then I don't want to see the story anymore. And it kind of ruins it for me. So hopefully more shows follow, but you don't really see a lot of shows going past 5-6 seasons anyway.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty, because I mean, there's only so much you can tell. I mean, until you get to the point where a lot of episodes are nothing fillers.
Problem is the kids.
That's a good point too. Actors.
I think the kids is one of the biggest problems because they are such main characters in the show, and they are, they're going to age out, and there's not much you can do about it. 1, it's natural progression. 2, you should let that natural progression happen in order not to make it stupid crazy. Mm-hmm. So, how do you keep on going after that? 5, when they announced season 5, they were they showing episode 4 or season 4? It felt like season 5 was announced pretty early. So I feel like if they have a good and well enough story already written and prepared to be told, that they can wrap it up in 6 or 7. I mean, like I could see it going to 7, but
Right.
I doubt it. I think 6 is probably going to be the sweet spot for this. But
Okay.
also, I kind of want to know what 5 does before
Absolutely,
you get
because
that
like
far.
I said, you're bringing in a lot of like the nostalgia. You're bringing a lot of these
tertiary characters.
well,
They're
yeah, that too. So it's
from
almost
the
like
original.
it's like a continuation of that original story, but yet now you're tired into like the current. So yeah, that's gonna be you gotta be careful about that.
Okay, so last question on it then. If season 5 ends up being a disappointment and you guys don't enjoy it, does that ruin the series for you or make you not want to watch season 6? Or is it just, well, it happened, I'm going to take it for what it is, and we're going to keep going?
It's kind of like Titans.
Okay, good. I think of Arrow in the same kind of way.
You love the characters.
Yeah.
You love the characters, and you just want to see, but you're just like, just,
I get that.
You can do it.
So you're in it. You're in it no matter what. And until it's
absolutely.
done airing, you're watching the show.
I didn't need or want this show. I'll tell you that right off the bat. I got hooked on the show watching it as a guilty pleasure. This show is a guilty pleasure for me. And I wasn't even a massive Karate Kid fan, other than what I mean. I guess I could have been, one of those things like back in my mind. I probably don't really remember about being young a whole lot, but I do remember
that crane kick. Don't even lie.
I mean, yeah. Come on. I was a kid. I probably did it like in my underwear. I don't know. But I wasn't asking for it. And when they announced it, I'm like, I mean, I guess that could be cool. And then I watched it. I mean, really, I don't know why, but it was, I guess Johnny sold it for me. I mean, as much as you see Daniel in there, and I didn't like the direction that they went,
right.
And I thought that it was a very interesting premise for them to have a show. I think the first season was out. The second season may have been coming out before I even watched the second or first season. And when everyone was like, they're turning the idea of Karate Kid on its head, and now Daniel's the butthole, and Johnny's the one that's trying to be the underdog. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot. Why not? I don't think it can ruin it if they end it and it stinks.
I think everybody just kind of like watched it and just started like just gaining traction because like I said, it was kind of like a guilty pleasure. You're like, oh, I'll watch it, and you're like, oh, okay, let's keep going.
The problem with it would be flavor of the week, and it would feel like if they don't, because they've done a pretty good job slowly raising the stakes. I mean, they're not even massive. Like all the stakes are very, very low tier. They're still talking about the all county karate championship. They're still talking about opening a dojo, combining dojos. I mean, everything is, we talk about things with big comic book characters. I mean, this isn't even low level. This is strip mall level. Like, like these problems are dealt with for, the corner somewhere in America, not even that big of a deal. So it's funny that they are able to immerse you so much in such a small little scenario.
It's their little world. It's their they're this little bubble that they're living in.
That's all you need.
And that's what I'm saying.
Story.
It's amazing how they do that and to make it such a good story.
That's all you need, man. Just a few characters in one setting and you're good. So, all right. Well, anything else you want to say about Cobra Kai? Do we know a date? Season 5?
September 9th.
September 9th.
9/9.
So I'm sure we're covering that, right?
Star Trek Day. And then we got Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be covering that. So look forward to the reviews on that coming up soon. Anything else news-wise, trailers we want to talk about?
I'm only going to mention the Wednesday Addams show because I thought it was good because I thought the monsters sucked so bad.
Okay.
The Wednesday Addams trailer was, I was like, I'm on board with this girl.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen it, but just hearing it, like if you tell me there's a Wednesday Addams show, there's
in the
nothing
trailer
about that draws me to it. I like the Addams family, and but just nothing draws me to that.
Well, Catherine Zeta-Jones is Morticia.
And Luis Guzman. Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Like,
well,
I wasn't liking it, but then I was like, at the very,
I'll watch it. Yeah.
I was having a conversation about it. I'm like, because I remember Raul.
Raul Julia.
Yeah.
Him Gomez. Yeah.
Well, he's not the original, and that's what it was getting.
Oh yeah. It was
I don't remember. I'm not thinking his name.
Aston.
Yes.
Sean Astin's dad. I can't think of his. Yeah.
Yes. Either way, when I saw the comparison between him and Guzman, I'm like, oh, they might have nailed this, and I might have just been like a butthole about it because I was like, I'm not buying like Luis Guzman, but when I saw the picture side by side, I'm like, they may have really done their homework that I know nothing about.
All right.
In the trailer though, like Wednesday's getting kicked out of schools left and right, and it's funny because there's like a swim team in the pool, and apparently they were picking on her brother. And
she's
so
like,
she comes in with 2 bags of piranhas, and she's like, "If anyone picks on my brother, it's going to be me." And she
Yes.
just like drops them into the pool, and these little, CGI things just start going after her and biting the dudes.
business,
Yep.
nether regions, shall we say? Yeah, he didn't make it out the pool quick enough.
Yeah, I don't like that, but yeah,
Yep.
it's not me, so it works.
Well,
cool. I'll
It
check the trailer
looks
out.
interesting. It looks like they're probably going to take it to where the Addams families, like, where they kind of like drew the line. I think they're going to go over it.
Yeah, making it non-family PG, making it more Addams family.
Yeah,
even though I'm telling you, man, and we're going to talk about this later too, they are really, really, really pushing that envelope with like what's family content nowadays. So who knows what they're going to consider it, but not necessarily family
It'll
content.
Be on Netflix. We'll see.
Yeah, the ratings system has changed over the years. Let's put it that way. That's all I'm saying.
And it looks
like it's time progression.
Looks like there's going to be 8 episodes of that too. So
okay,
that's supposed to come out fall time.
Fall time. Okay,
it doesn't have a date yet.
What platform?
Netflix.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Netflix. I love Netflix because they have so much stuff, but I hate Netflix because it is the
31st. Maybe.
I was thinking that was exactly what it was going to be.
That'd be perfect.
No. Netflix is the worst streaming program on my television in my bedroom. It always messes up. I hate when I have to watch something on Netflix. I usually end up watching on my phone because, especially now that I've realized that you can watch stuff on your phone on Netflix, maybe you can do it on the television too at 1.5 times the speed. And I was like, well, that's great. So when I've got to catch up on a show, that's the way to do it.
I told you.
I can't watch that fast.
There's some shows out there that I would do it because some shows I'm just
bad.
like, oh my god.
It's not that bad. You can still keep up with things. Like I was worried about it being too fast. I think any faster than 1.5 would be no good, but 1.5 is not bad. So, all right. Was there anything else? Trailers, news?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, there probably was, but we got other things. We got other things to do.
All right, well, do y'all want to? Is there anything interesting you've been watching lately? I know I started watching The Gray Man last night, and I had to go to sleep because it was way too late. But I'm going to finish watching that. Have y'all completed that viewing?
Gray Man was good.
Gray Man was good.
I did enjoy it. I think that is more along the lines of what I would consider a better made Netflix movie. Because I also watched Day Shift with the new Jamie Foxx and I can never remember the little kid's name. But he's a vampire hunter. And I was just like, do you remember Power?
Yes.
All right. So Power wasn't bad, right? Like one good viewing. Mm-hmm. It told a story, but like you didn't need a beginning, you didn't need a preface, you didn't need an ending, like an epilogue. Like what goes on in the middle is just that one little. You got an episode, and that's what that movie was.
Right.
I mean, Day Shift was kind of the same way, but I gotta keep harping on the fact that Netflix keeps throwing stuff at the wall. Some of it's sticking a little bit, but I would like to see a little bit more quality. I like streaming networks more that have better quality shows. And Netflix just keeps doing it by the numbers. They haven't even decided whether or not they're going to do a second season of Sandman yet, because they're probably waiting on the numbers, to be honest with you, because everyone gives them such a hard time about, Jupiter's Legacy. We're going to, just cancel that right here and right now.
But shouldn't that let them know not to worry about the numbers? I mean, Jupiter's Legacy got great numbers, didn't it?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Like, don't worry about it. Like
they don't need to, but that's all that they live off of. That's what they live off of.
There's a lot of stuff on Netflix I would trade. But of course, this is just me for the stuff they get rid of.
I'm at a point where I've been looking ahead and trying to think about like how badly do I really want to keep Netflix? Like I may actually just offload it for a little while.
We'll just cancel it and sign back up whenever you want to watch something.
Yeah, exactly. Use it for,
I have a couple friends at work that every month they'll sign up for a new service and cancel their previous one. Just pay for one service a month and watch that for the whole month. And I'm like, well, that's a good idea. All right. I'm trying to think beyond that. Anything we want to talk about on here? That's really all I've been watching because I've been just busy.
I watched the Star Wars Summer Lego Special thing. I mean, all of it. Oh, actually, that and the Groot thing is like it's all for kids. But I mean, like I put it on while working one day and just listened to it, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, I guess. Definitely good for kids if you want.
Didn't get through all the Groot stuff. Even my kids are kind of like, what?
They were super short. I mean, like I don't understand how. I mean, they're made for wee kids because attention span like it's just not there. I mean, like they're like 5 minutes, 8 minutes.
Well, it's colors and sounds and characters they recognize that are friendly. It's just like you said, it's something for wee kids that you turn on the tablet when you're in the grocery store to keep them busy.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So I did not watch the Groot series stuff. Just didn't seem like something that I was going to be interested in checking out.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm just not gonna. I have the right to choose not to watch that. So, and I don't think I'll be missing anything I don't want. So, well, all right. Well, anything else y'all have watched you want to talk about? Do y'all want to hop into the 3? Well, I don't want to say shows, but viewing options we've had this week.
Sure. Let's talk about you want to do Prey?
Let's do Prey because I liked Prey, but I'm more excited to talk about the other two than I am Prey. So let's get Prey.
Yeah, I was just not that out of the way.
So I myself am not a huge Predator fan. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I really like the first movie, the Arnold one. Grew up watching that one's awesome. But just never followed the series really. And then I don't want to say the thumbnail, but the imagery on the streaming platform actually caught my attention with this. And I was like, well, I kind of want to watch that. Even if it's not Predator, it looks interesting, which is great to let you know that, making it look that good can do that. But I was impressed. I really was. I knew nothing about this movie going into it. Absolutely nothing except I heard that it was a Predator movie. Somebody had told me that it was a horror suspense and very gory, but I found it to be neither. I found it suspenseful and I found it kind of gory, but not really worse than anything I ever watched.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing bad. But I enjoyed it. So, are y'all big Predator fans? Because I've never really been.
I prefer Predator over Alien.
I do prefer Predator over Alien. I've watched, I think, 2 Alien movies. The first one, and I think I saw Resurrection in theaters.
Yeah, we did go see that one in theaters.
Yeah, was that us that went and saw that? Because I remember seeing that in theaters. But beyond that, I've just never really been a huge Alien fan.
Well, but I love AVP. I love that movie. I don't know what it is about it. I love that movie.
See, that's where things got crazy for me, and everything started seeming to. It was like the era of. I don't know. It was like the 2000s gave us some weird stuff, and I don't know if that came out in like the 10s or not. But I know that there was just that moment where like everything had to start going crazy. It's like
maybe too manufactured. You think? Like it didn't come naturally enough?
Yeah, like they were trying to add in other tidbits to keep you interested. Like it's Alien and Predator, but like we also have like there's a dude rapping in the corner. Like things get weird. I like the first one, like you said. I'm pretty sure I've watched the second one at least once, if not twice. I don't know, like not a whole lot. But I knew a whole lot more going into this Predator movie, and I actually watched it because I heard that, like, pace wise, it was a lot better of a movie pace wise. And to me, that's what I needed, because I mean, all the other ones just seemed like it's a whole bunch of jump scares and everything else. Like they were just trying to keep topping each Alien viewing and each Predator viewing, each killing. Each one was supposed to top and top and top. So for this one, when they got to a certain point in the movie, and I'm like, it's good because it's basic. Like there's not a whole lot going on. Like they're out here using bows and arrows and crap, and trying to figure out how to take down a Predator, which was all practical effects.
Yeah,
I think that was a dude in a suit.
Well, yeah, that's the awesome part about it. But like you said, the best thing about this movie is I felt like I could walk into this movie. Like my wife's not a Predator fan. I feel like she can walk into this movie and watch it and know nothing about Predator at all, not be a fan of anything about it at all, and enjoy this movie because it was a good story. It's like you get all the information you need about what's going on in the beginning. You see the action going on. You have a conclusion. The end. It's a perfect little nutshell of a story. Like I really, really enjoyed this viewing.
And another
Sure.
thing that was good. Okay, spoiler alert! If you're listening now, you haven't seen it.
Definitely
Just
spoilers.
quiet. The dog survives.
Yes. Yeah. When I
Because
got to work,
the kids, they watched this, so it wasn't that bad to where the kids couldn't watch it because I mean, they've whatever. So there was two things that got the boy harped on. First of all, the dog survived.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was, I guess this one they went out to, I guess, hunt the cat.
Right.
One dude got like totally wiped, and nobody said anything about it.
Right. Yeah.
The boy was like, "What?"
While we're talking about that scene, yeah, that was one thing I noticed too. But my second part was in that scene specifically. I thought the way they were going to play it out was she actually killed the lion, and her brother took credit for it, because if the last thing you see is her lunging forward with the spear or whatever she has, her falling down and hitting her head, and then she's carried back to their camp. Well,
yeah,
if a lion wasn't killed and she fell to the ground, wouldn't it have mauled her up right there? So that's why I was like, oh, there's something else to this. I was like, he took her back and the lion was already dead, and that never came true, which I'm glad, because I wouldn't want her brother to kind of screw her over like that. But I just thought that was there. I was like, no, there's no way she survives that if the lion survived.
Yeah. I wasn't okay with that until the brother kind of got like the redeeming moment of like saving her butt, more or less. Right. And I thought that was like a good yin yang, a little light dark, moment. But I think my biggest thing that really kept my attention was that they throttled the amount of Predator skill set very well. I thought that they kept on like showing like the next thing that he was doing, and now he's got this, and like here comes the hand shield, and like here comes he busts out the bomb, and like it was things that you've seen before, but like it felt more of a natural progression of him using all those things in this movie. And then also her learning about the Predator, knowing nothing, being extremely primitive. It was a nice a ladder climb to actually get to the point where she was able to do something to him. So
yeah, because they messed him up.
Yeah, they did.
So I want to ask y'all, they give you all this cool moment of her where she's in the everything in this movie that they point out, anything you see them zoom in on, it comes back later. The only thing I didn't think came back very, very well was the yo-yo tomahawk. She did use it one time, but not like she was practicing with it, but it still got a little bit of use. But did anybody else in that moment when you saw her in the mud think, okay, here we go. Here's the Arnold moment where she realizes that, the mud and the heat and everything else, and then it didn't happen. And I was like, oh, okay, they got me. Because I definitely thought that was what was happening next.
No, because I think it was strung it another way, because that's what I liked about her character, because she wasn't like the traditional macho type character, because, it's she spent this entire movie trying to prove herself, because those other warrior dudes were like total dicks. And I'm like, I was like, kick his ass. So, I mean, for her to fight but then again, you gotta remember in a time like this, when you look at the women, she wanted to be the hunter. 9 times out of 10, that's not what women did. So, I mean, it was, I'm not saying woke or anything like that, but it was, I thought that was kind of cool.
I mean, it was believable, very realistic.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying. I mean, it wasn't the fact that she knew how to use medicines and things like that. It's just like she saved the dude that got mauled. If she hadn't been there with the medicine, and I think that was kind of cool, instead of using like the prior, like you said, with the mud, to cool you down so you can basically have like your, so your predator can't see you. But for her to use that, for her to use that medicine to realize like, hey, you can't see, if your body temperature drops. So I thought that was kind of cool, instead of, rehashing something that already been done before. It's still the same purpose, but it's a different way.
I only wish it was a little bit more believable, because I had a real tough time. Like the moment she put it in her mouth, and like all of a sudden, like bloop, invisible, like can't see me. It felt like it was really instant, and so that was probably my big beef with that.
I think the Predator's vision was the biggest like plot hole in this for me, or like the hardest thing to explain, because like, you know, you see his vision sometimes and you really can't see anything except for heat. You know, I mean, you can kind of make a silhouette of other stuff, but you really can't see much. And there's moments where like he's walking up on the dead buffalo and he sees the medicine that she's put on this dead buffalo. It's like, first of all, how'd you see that? Second of all, how did you see that little bitty spot of medicine that she put on this dead buffalo, the one of the whole field of them that she happened to be in? I was like, okay, they're playing very fast and loose with this vision, but I'm okay with that because the story was still good, you know. And Predator's still a badass. I'd still be afraid of him, even if he couldn't see.
Watching him learn who the predators are, or figure out who the predators are, you know, him doing his own little scientific experiment, like, you know, like, I'm gonna pit these two people against each other. What was it, the snake and the rat, or
snake and the rat, and the wolf and the rabbit, and then him and the bear, right?
Yeah. And I was like, you know, like, it was good because it was natural. You know, like, all he did was sit back and observe, and then, you know, yank skulls and spines out of bodies. So,
well, I also liked it because they didn't make him like unbeatable. Like when he was going against those French guys, I was really like, wow, like, is there going to be a moment where maybe he's captured or something like that? Because he was getting his ass kind of kicked at some point in time. And with the bear, like, I thought that was one of the best scenes of the movie, to be truly honest with you. Like, I loved that.
I think that was almost better than Leonardo and the bear.
Ooh, shots
fired.
Know.
I mean,
shots fired.
I thought it was good. He picked the bear out. You know, it was
bled him out, which is crazy. Like, I don't know, man, but that bear was pretty badass. And you know, it's funny because I guess when I think about a bear, I don't think about how mean and insanely deadly, like, what an actual beast these things actually are.
Yeah, that's not Yogi.
But it's like a gorilla. Like,
yeah,
they will mess you up bad. So I hate to be in a fight with a bear, a real bear.
Because you don't really think about like the claws, you know, like the claws they have. You know, you see the teeth, yeah, but you don't really think about there's other, and they're strong.
In old movies, someone has always got bear scars on their face. Always. Like, you know, like just like straight across the face. Like one eyeball's all white because like it got all goofed up in a bear fight. I'm like, yeah, a bear fight. Okay. Did you mean bar fight? Are you spelling that wrong?
But yeah, man, Prey was, I don't want to say surprisingly good because I had no expectations going into it. I didn't even know it was coming out. Nothing about it.
Oh yeah, we'd seen like the previews and stuff, or, you know, at least the
marketing was everywhere.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
Huh. I don't know. Maybe I'm just that oblivious.
Or I don't think busy. Hulu's had anything since Handmaid's Tale once again. So that's like their one surviving show. I don't know really like anything else that's on that.
Well, I think crazy thing was about me too is like lead actress. I can't remember her name, but
Amber Mid-Thunder.
Let's see, because she was in the
badass name.
What was it? Roswell, New Mexico. Because you had Roswell from the 90s, then you had Roswell, New Mexico from like 2000 or like the 2010s or whatever.
And she was that show.
I'm looking at her IMDb right now. I don't see anything she's been in that I may have seen. Longmire, but I don't remember her in that.
Well, like I said, the Roswell, New Mexico, I had just pretty much just watched that. That was
okay.
That was like a version of Roswell where the previous one everybody was in high school. Yeah. This one everybody was already out of high school, so it was like a different iteration.
Yeah, that's brand new this year. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was that's where I knew her from. So I was just like, okay, that's not her. That's, you know, because it's like sometimes when you see, like I said, it's just like what's his face from The Boys. You know, I told you guys like that really took me out because he was in that show as well.
Right.
And actually he was from the previous version. I'm just like, I can't see you like this in this character, but it's like once it went on, I was like, okay, you're cool. As long as she kept the makeup on, I was good.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, she crushed it.
Yeah.
In this movie. Absolutely crushed it. Like to the point where I would say I would watch a Prey 2. Like round 2, Predator versus her, because I just did a great job acting. I thought all the characters cast in the movie did a great job. That was one of the shining moments, was the acting in this movie. Oh. Everything about it was believable. Everything was practical. It looked great. Just overall really enjoyed it. It makes me want to have another Predator movie. I can't say there's been any other Predator movie other than maybe one that's made me feel that way, that I want to watch another one.
How many Predator movies are there?
Well, if you're considering the Alien versus Predator movies, I would say those.
Yeah.
But there may only be like 4. But I've only seen these 2. So
I thought that there was 3, and then Alien vs Predator, and then so I felt like
because you got Predator that came out in 87, you got Predator 2 that came in 90, you got Predators that came in 10.
Yes.
Alien versus Predator was 04. Then you had Alien AVP Requiem was 07. So yeah, that's not a little bit of it.
So that's 5. So now we're at 6.
okay, so 2 of 6. That's a good batting average. But I don't know. Is there anything else y'all wanted to point out about Prey? Overall thoughts? If you had to give it a 1 through 10 grade, what would you give it?
I mean, for a Predator movie, look, for any kind of movie, it wasn't too horror-y. It wasn't too weird. I mean, I guess like a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would give it a solid 8. It was a fun watch. I may even watch it again. That's one that I could put on and watch again. So I think the rewatchability of it is out there. So yeah, I'll give it a solid 8.
I think I'm right between you two. I think 7.5.
Okay.
I mean, there's a couple things where I'm just like, but for the most part, I mean, I love Predator. I mean, I love the. It was not really an origin, but it was just a different where it's like you're pitting like avid human hunters, like you said, bow and arrow, that kind of thing, like primitive, where you're going against this predator, because I almost feel like this particular predator was kind of like in training.
Yeah, definitely felt like it was like rookie season.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Year 1.
So I mean, I think rewatch it. I think give it a rewatch, and then but I think 7.5. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Well, let's wrap that one up. So 2 topics left. We got the Sandman and She-Hulk. Which one do you want to save for last? Is the question.
We'll save Sandman for last. I'll give my impressions, as I've only seen like 2.5.
Okay, that works.
I didn't make it to the third one because I fell asleep. But that's what I'm saying. I'd rather talk about the other one, so that way I can say what I want to, and then maybe you guys can run off and talk about the rest of it or whatever, or if you want to kind of divvy it up or whatever.
Right.
Greg definitely said he didn't make it all the way through it, so I know that we're just kind of. I mean, we can talk the first 2. Like, that's totally cool.
Yeah. Well, when we decided we were just going to talk about the first half, I was like, well, okay, I'm not going to rush myself to rush in the last few episodes because, but I got to like 8, so I'm almost there. But
and then they turn around and drop an animated episode. I didn't even know. Like,
yeah,
I guess they did that yesterday.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that because I thought there was only 10, and then I looked later it was 11. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
So,
10 plus 1.
Well, we'll get to that. Let's talk some She-Hulk. And I have got to start this off because this has not been a series that I've been insanely excited for, not because of the character, because of how it looked. And after watching the first episode, I still feel the same way. I don't like the look, but I figured it out. And I figured out what it is about this that I don't like. I don't like Professor Hulk. Smart Hulk. I don't like the look of that character is what it is. And I had to go back and think about it. And I was like, you know what? I'd rather just see Hulk be a brute and smash and then see Bruce Banner. And I get it. He's a character in the comics, whatever. It's fine. And they can put him in there and it still looks fine. But I've always gone into this series not liking the CGI. And I made a comparison on Twitter the other day that some people agree with me. Some people disagree with me. It's just my kind of thing. Just when I see things, I like to compare. Well, why do we do this here and this not here type deal? But I say all this going into it with I didn't like the way that the Hulk that they did the She-Hulk, the way it looks. Okay. But I have to defeat my own problem with an argument that I say with Green Lantern. Like, because I always defend Green Lantern, the movie. I enjoy that movie. But people always make fun of the CGI and the suit and everything. And my argument is always, well, show me a fabric made of pure energy that they could have used otherwise, and then we'll make this argument. So with this, I can say, show me an actual Hulk, and then I can make this argument. So if I want to see Hulk on screen, I have to deal with what I see, and that's fine. It's not terrible. It just has some things I don't like about it, But I have seen live action Hulk too. and I would rather have this than live action Hulk. So, all that being said, I just went on a huge rant. I really enjoyed the show. Minus the look of everything else, I really enjoyed the show. I could look past all of that for the acting, for the story, for the comedy, for everything that was in there. Awesome show. So I've given it a lot of shit for the way it looks, but now that I've seen it, I still think it looks bad, but I really enjoy it and it doesn't matter. So what say y'all?
I like her look better than his look.
Okay.
I can handle that because he just looks like a hot mess. And I agree with you too, because the Smart Hulk, I was not a fan. I wasn't a fan of it in God, when did you see it? Yes, because I was just like, what is? I'm like, either or. I can't do both. I can't do both. That's just fucking weird. I'm sorry, it's just weird.
He's too comedic whenever he's Professor Hulk. He's not that comedic when he's Bruce Banner, and of course he's not that comedic when he's Hulk.
Yeah,
but whenever they're together, he's too comedic.
Yeah, you've got Bruce. Let Bruce have his personality, and then you've got Hulk. So let Hulk be Hulk. I mean, I understand it's it's a fight between the two, but I'm like, just together, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I agree.
It doesn't make sense.
And you know what? Maybe it's all me. I'm sure there are plenty of people who like that, and there's a reason why it's a comic and it's in the comics and everything else. But for me personally, I just don't like the way it. And it took me a while to realize that too. And I was like, why do I not like the way she looks so badly? One, it reminds me kind of Fiona from Shrek, just a little bit. I don't know why, but just a little bit. And then I just thought about it as I was watching it, and I was like, I don't like Professor Hulk. And then I thought about all the times I've seen him, and I was like, I don't like him in anything I've seen him in, really. I think the last time I liked Hulk was in Ragnarok.
The Smart Hulk thing was a shock. It was like Fat Thor,
Yeah.
When you get thick Thor, like you get shocked, and unfortunately, with all the normal sensations that Thor gives people, it's a weird one. So here's my take on it. It doesn't bother me. I do prefer insanely stupid, crazy Hulk out Hulk. Like I do prefer that, because I do think that's the whole premise of the character. Mm-hmm. But I think that Marvel's done a good job of deep diving into it. I can't remember what the line is called, but I know there's like, is it Interstellar Hulk, Intergalactic Hulk, one of those Hulk lines. In the books, it really deep dives into his past and like him being young, and like it shows like how he can be extremely compared to Moon Knight, like with him having so many different personalities. And I think that Marvel's done a pretty good job of actually giving us that, because I mean, if you take the what's his name that played it, original Hulk, not the original one, but the original Marvel. Edward Norton.
Yes.
Yeah, Edward Norton, yeah.
So Edward Norton had a persona that didn't carry across into Avengers. And what I'm saying is, like, his behavior didn't carry over. It was a little bit, but Edward Norton did a better job of like having like a freak out, like being weird about it. It seemed to be when Mark Ruffalo came along, he got very skittish, and like he was like, he always seemed like he was walking around like trying not to touch like a whole lot of things because he didn't know what was going to happen.
He triggered.
Yeah. And so, whereas
tightly wound,
one seemed skittish, the other one seemed like afraid of everything, and not in the same kind of way. Mm-hmm. But then you get to a point to where the last movie where we actually see all 6 Avengers together, Age of Ultron, he was all over the map. Like he was very, just doing different things. Like it was weird. Ragnarok was great. It was ideal. Like Hulk was Hulk, and like you could see him, physically taking a building apart and causing massive damage. As much as we actually saw it in Age of Ultron, Ragnarok was the one where I was like, that's almost like peak Thor. I mean, like he is ripped, he's badass, he's pissed off, and he can do just about anything. And he was just funny enough to be able to hold on to the humor side of it. But then I liked Banner better. I liked Ruffalo's version of it in that, because it showed that, he wasn't sure what was going on, but he had a better grasp of like the actual character. Then you get to major identity crisis where he got his butt kicked at the beginning of Infinity War and didn't even want to be in the movie. He was all about hiding out. And then it was culture shock. Like, Endgame was culture shock when you see Smart Hulk. And I understand not wanting to see that because it's nice, but you also expect him to do something, kind of messed up.
Right.
You expect him to like destroy something. And as much as he was doing it, he wasn't doing it in like an animalistic, I don't care about anything kind of way. But I think you need to have a conversation. To do it with Smart Hulk, man, I mean, like, I really bought what they were doing at the beginning of that. I liked the thing that was helping him. That all made sense. Here's the thing: we never saw that transition from Ragnarok, Infinity War to Endgame. Like, it was just abrupt, and so without
that may be my biggest issue, and like I don't even know about it. Yeah, that may be my issue. It's you just kind of swept that under the rug. Like, you had this huge
automatically assume, just roll with it. It is what it is. Yeah.
And so and that's, I was more impressed by all the things that they were doing. Like when he was talking about, I turned into Hulk when like a robot smashed me, or the giant rock fell on me, or whatever he was describing. And he was like, Natasha used to be able to give me a lullaby, and she's like, well, how does that work? I'm like, I don't really know, but it worked. I'm like, they're just pointing out all the things.
But in the same token, as much as I don't like the Smart Hulk, I think the way they were starting to tell this story, because the thing that really hit me, I thought was the most hilarious, is when he finally realized that she's one person. There's not two in there. And he's like, because, like I said, he's got this book. He's like, yo, dude, this. And she's like, what are you talking about, dude? I can control this. He's like, you mean
this
you're
whole
not wrestling?
episode
There's
was
nobody
a
else in
montage.
there? Yeah.
It was so good.
But he was such a jackass.
Yeah.
Well, understandably so, based on what he's gone through, And I will say that one of those things with Professor Hulk that did piss me off, like we were saying, with not knowing the transition, just they say, hey, here it is. This is what happened. You're getting a little bit of payoff with that right now. With him showing you the bunker in Mexico, him explaining to you that he's gone through this and how long, like, you're getting a little bit of payoff of that now. And I respect that. I appreciate that. For me, maybe it's more the look than the thing. Cause like, he looks different. Like, Professor Hulk looks different than Hulk did in every other.
Like I said, it's like, you got Hulk that's like the big, but then it's like a medium size. It's kind of like, baby bear, mama bear, papa bear. It's like, we're at mama bear right now.
Yeah. But it also looks more like him in the face. And I think, like, that's the whole what I think Smart Hulk's biggest problem is that in anyone's head, if you were to combine the two characters, it's not what people would picture.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that totally makes sense. I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't want to. I feel like we're just shitting on this show, which sucks because we are putting on but I think that we all really enjoyed this show. I think that we all have a little slight problem with Professor Hulk. Yeah. And like I said, I think for me, that's why I have an issue with the way it looks. But like, with the way, I think the actors who played the role did a great job. I think the banter between the two was fantastic. The comedy was on point. The action was great. I mean, minus the, kind of foggy CGI. It was a little weird and wonky in some points, but I get it, man. You got to do this. And overall, like I said, I really enjoyed what I saw. I don't know. They did a good job setting up. Do you guys think that we're going to see Mark Ruffalo Hulk again until maybe the end of the series? I think that this was like, here's your guest appearance, set us up, now go away till maybe the end or maybe never again. What do you think?
I think we see him.
I think we see him. Okay.
I don't know what aspect, but I know that. All right. So at the end of Shang-Chi, I know that you see him in the sling in one of the mid or post-credit scenes. And the showrunner came out and said that this takes place very soon after that movie. So we were supposed to have a better understanding of it at the end of next episode.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means. I didn't go too far in depth because I didn't want to be spoiled on a whole lot. But I was like, that's enough to be like, okay, I'll see what you're talking about. I'll look out for it.
Yeah.
What I enjoyed about this show and episode so far is that it's turned a lot of other Marvel TV shows that we've watched kind of on their head. It definitely took the I'm here, I'm going to be a Hulk, here's how I got here. Bam, episode 1. Show me some backstory, and I mean it was enough.
It was very fast, but it was done well. Yeah.
So I was fine with it. I liked I mean, I'm not even going to get into like all the little tidbits yet, but I liked how they just basically ripped the Band-Aid off, and she was like okay with it, you know? I mean, like she seems like the kind of person that finding out about it was a shock, and like you saw this whole episode where she kind of wanted to just get away, but I mean, you know, she didn't like freak out to like the nth degree. She did a pretty good job of like holding it all together and like learning all this crap.
Well, the beautiful thing about where Marvel's at right now is you don't have to set up a universe. The universe is established, and everybody that's in these shows knows the universe, knows about what's going on, knows everything and everybody. Like you can just introduce a new character, like having somebody come on a sitcom for, you know, it's crazy, and it works perfectly because I felt like this story moved really, really fast, but I never felt rushed. I never felt like I was missing out on something because they were going too fast, but it did. It went really fast. It went from having a person at the beginning that doesn't have powers to having the powers to learning about the powers to defeating a villain at the end, like that quickly in what 38 minutes.
She had the powers at the beginning.
Well, okay, yeah, she's telling the story. I get it.
But and then, like, I mean, I don't know who she. I mean, she didn't. I guess she kind of defeated the bad guy, but I mean, like, there was no context to any of that stuff.
No.
And like the meat and potatoes of this whole entire episode was like the training montage and like how do you get here, and you know, basically like also told a lot of like Hulk's like what was going on during the blip. You know, I mean,
it paid off that not knowing before.
Yeah, to some extent. So it was interesting because you know, and they played the woman card very well. You know, I thought that they did a fantastic job of her always saying like, you know, all the shit that I got to deal with all the time that you don't have to deal with. I'm like, I mean, I've been in those situations, and I've sat at interviews where, you know, like you've had to, you know, be witness to someone's like, you know, extremely misogynistic behavior to like someone else, and you're like, nah, I mean, she's right. No, like that's how this person is. No. And I mean, like, it was, say what you will, I'm just saying it from my point of view. Like, I felt like sitting in that situation, I'm like, yeah, I mean, she's not wrong. Like, I've been there, so I'm not even a woman. I just have been part of those conversations. Go ahead, tell me, woman.
Yeah,
tell me.
That was probably one thing that I picked up on too, because it's like they're pushing the whole, and I think that's probably why it hit me so hard about why I was saying that Smart Hulk was being such an ass. You know, it's just like, well, you're gonna do it. She's like, number one, don't tell me how it is. You don't know. And another thing I picked up on, he's like, well, you're a superhero now. She's like, says who? It's like, okay, I'm a Hulk. That don't mean I'm a superhero. It's just the way he was forcing all this stuff on her. Like, you need to do this. She's like, hold on a second. I've worked hard enough to get where I am right now. And she's like, and I'm not going to give up the life that I have worked hard for to just live in, you know, in the middle of Mexico in a little tiki hut.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no, that's not about to happen. And I think a lot of women these days, that's how you feel. I mean, that's just, you know, you feel like you're pushed to you're pushed a certain way, or people think you should be a certain way. And it's like, no, that's not how it's going to work.
Right.
Just because this is your experience does not mean this is my experience.
Well, can I say that going into this show, from basically what I've heard and seen online, I've seen a lot of different things about a lot of different views the show has, a lot of different ways they're going. And, you know, I've heard a lot of things about what people say about this show. So going in, I'm wondering how much they're going to hit on that, because from what I've been told, that's all this show does, this and that, and that's why it's so hard to listen to reviews. I watched it. It's not beat you over your head. It's recognition and good placement of what it is, and then just that's it. There's no beating you over the head with any of this kind of stuff. I heard this was a man bashing show. Nope, didn't feel that at all. I feel like at points in times where she feels like she should have bashed some men that should have been bashed. Yeah, it was a man bashing show. But for the most part,
she described mansplaining without saying mansplaining.
Yeah, so like, so it's so funny to listen to these reviews and hear this, and it comes back down to not even just listening to reviews, listen to what the people that reviews of the reviews. It's like if somebody gives something a bad review, it doesn't mean that something about this person. Also, if somebody gives something a bad review, so what?
Yeah, exactly.
If they don't like it, they don't like it. Cool. You can watch it. And if you like it, you like it. And it doesn't matter if this person liked it or not. So I just hate seeing bad reviews on stuff that's not true. And I hate seeing people bashing reviewers, it's like, it's just a vicious cycle, man. But I don't think that was one of my fears going into this show, but it wasn't prevalent at all. Like I said, this was a fun show. This is one of the more fun Marvel shows that I've watched that's come out. Like, I'm really excited for next week to see what's going on. My wife was watching with me. She was like, I like the show. It's really good. I said, perfect.
Episode
Let's continue watching it.
That's the thing, because it's like, it's like I told you guys when I first heard it, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. Then it's like, I don't know. But like I said, I think it's like the CGI. It was kind of, because she does kind of look like a cross between like Hulk and a Na'vi, because it's almost like when they were doing the training, it almost felt like, when the Na'vi were trying to figure out how to use their bodies, their avatars, and this, that's kind of what it felt like to me. But I'm like, I get it. But I thought that was pretty funny too. It was just like, oh, you can do this. Oh, I can do that. Oh, and I think that's going to be a running theme too, because it's like, it's kind of like with Black Widow. She had a different, because she had a different viewpoint of because you tried to, even before the Black Widow movie, when you're just, Natasha, talking about, what she went through and all this kind of stuff. I think it's cool to have like another, I guess, female lead to kind of hear a different viewpoint, because I think she was just so cool about, hey, it happened. Okay, I'm freaked out a little bit, but all right, it is what it is. Let's do this. I'm not going to hide from it. It's just like when she hulked out in the courtroom, she's like, took your shoes off. She's like, oh, but I really like this outfit. Okay. Just like,
I am a fan of,
put your shoes back on and get your shit together.
She's so much, you look at what we're going to have when you have all of the new women characters that they have brought to us so far, oh my Lord, what's her name? There's the new Hawkeye, the Haley Steinfeld character.
Oh, Kate Bishop.
Her back and forth in that show with Yelena was so good. I mean, it was such a great little thing. And that's what is so fascinating, further to your point that you were trying to make earlier, Greg, everyone's bitching, whining, moaning, complaining. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but what I'm seeing on screen is good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree.
Screw off with whatever problem that you're having, because I'm going to sit here like I'm here for it. And okay, the only thing that was a little abrupt in this whole entire show was like how she got the blood.
Yeah.
Okay. The car accident, the Sicarian ship. That's why I think also that Banner's going to be back, because why do you have anything Sicarian all of a sudden show up? And he's been the only one that's there. That felt weird. But Sarah, to your point, I mean, that was very much like the Avatar scene where they're trying to figure out their bodies. Because I mean, she's trying to figure it all out. And it was like the third time that she changed, she was able to actually keep consciousness and like pay attention to what was going on.
And then when you actually saw her like change and then go back, and I was just like,
yeah.
And she's
like, I'm doing this. I'm controlling it.
It's me. There's only me. That's it. And that's what he was like. He couldn't wrap his head around for as smart.
I wouldn't
as
be able to.
Shit.
15 years of fighting somebody else. Yeah, I would be pissed too.
Yeah. Like, no. I'm like, is that like a difference between the male and the female psyche? I don't know.
She kept saying, "Oh, so I'm better." Oh, because I healed my blood healed your arm, so I'm better. Oh, okay.
Well, no, I'm glad you mentioned that part right there because that was a question I had because I seen in the previews him using both arms, and I was like, wait a second, how are they going to explain this? Is this going to be another thing they just say, oh, well, never mind? Because I know they mentioned, I brought a big point up of, no, his arm is hurt. Like, I think they did a good job explaining it. They fixed it. I can buy that. Cool. She has superior blood, and because of that, you got healed.
Well,
cool. I'm cool.
I like
with
to call it evolution.
Okay. Yeah.
I know some people don't believe in that, but I like to call it evolution.
Yeah.
But there's so many little tidbits in this show. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like they're just called. I mean, you got an Ireland mask in his house. She rocks a Led Zeppelin shirt right off the bat. I mean, that was a massive music for the Ragnarok movie. We got a free comic book yet again through a QR code when she was walking in that bar. She was on her way to the bathroom. There's a little QR on the wall right there. So they get yet again another free comic book in all these television shows. There's something else too that I was going to bring up. I can't remember what. Oh, when he pushes her off the cliff, it's very reminiscent of him hitting Thor when in the Avengers movie.
Yeah. That actually brings me to a good point right there. With I mentioned this earlier, and I said we bring it back up when we got to this point. Like, does Marvel seem like they're starting to kind of push their standards on what's
up a little bit
for kids? Because I heard some F-bombs dropped, and I heard I saw somebody flip somebody off, and I heard them talking about virginity and sex and everything else. And I'm like, I mean, I get it. Look, like my kids are older, so it's not something that I worry about as much now. But I'm thinking about
one
it.
Right there, they saved it to the cutscene, though.
True, so but what kid that watches a Marvel movie is not going to watch the cutscene? Especially now that you fast forward through the
how many times have they ended a Marvel thing with "fuck" recently? Because I mean, I feel like Spider-Man did it twice.
I guess they did that with Samuel Jackson. They
did it mother.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. There's actually
like I said, to be fair, that was a movie. Was all I was saying. I get it's Disney, but that was a movie like on big screen. Like you're and he didn't.
Ratings are ratings. No.
You're right.
If you can buy a ticket, that's what makes a difference.
I just worry about the old saying that every time you compromise your morals, you lose some integrity. And like, is Disney worried about losing a little bit of integrity? Their business is built around kids programming, and I get it. They're branching out. But like, how far are we branching out? Like, how?
I just feel like when it comes to Marvel, you've got some characters, like you said, you got Captain America. That's like and Tony Stark kind of
apparently not a virgin.
What?
Just so you know, Hulk will argue that point.
Yeah. Captain America, Fox!
But and then you got Tony Stark that was kind of pushing it too. But everybody else seems like they were just kind of like.
They came out of the gate with Tony Stark and his little one night stands and losing a few hours of sleep. I mean, like they didn't sugarcoat it, but
it wasn't Disney at that point either.
It wasn't, but you're also talking about the director's point of view. I know that they are given probably a pretty stringent guideline. I don't know what the word is I'm trying to look for, but I mean, guideline is just the best way to put it. But, creative freedom, they can go so far. I mean, you have so many close touches with overstepping that boundary, but they do it more or less as a nod without, you're right, like sacrificing morals. But
it's not right when you're.
And I took it a little far with that morals and integrity comment. Like, I'm being facetious. Like I have older kids, so for me, it's not really that big of a deal because I see the stuff they listen to, and I hear them play games and stuff like that. Like I get it. I was a kid once. It just, and it's not even that bad. I don't think the stuff they did is bad. Like it's not like okay, it's terrible, but it just seems a little edgy for Disney. Is all I mean. Like it's not bad. I feel like I've progressed to the point where I'm like, well, okay, that's TV now. Like. My kids have access to Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, like all this stuff that's on there. They like, I mean, they're teenagers. They can watch all this stuff. So realistically, and even if I didn't give them the opportunity to watch this, I was a kid. They're going to watch it if they want to. If it's the popular thing going on and people want to watch it, they're going to find a way to watch it. So
Disney isn't all Mickey Mouse anymore, man.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think they're changing.
in the rest of the world, Disney stuff that pushes the envelope is on Hulu. And it like a lot of the Marvel movies are on Hulu in other countries. I mean, that's just how the way that things are, because other countries have different, guidelines to like how they rate things and so on and so forth. And so you get a large part of that push onto another platform. This, you also get the reciprocal. You also get a lot more things that probably shouldn't be on Disney Plus in other countries. Because once again, it's all about their rating system. What's acceptable wherever you're at.
But it makes you question what when they tell you this is what we're about. It makes you question that. It's like, are you really about that, or are you about the money? Because
they are clearly about the money.
And seems like you'll sacrifice what you're saying you're about to make more money.
The problem comes back to they're about the money, so they keep buying more stuff. And when you keep buying more stuff, if you make if you Disney gentrify everything, then what are you gonna do? Like, you can't.
We would live in Roger Rabbit.
Yeah,
Roger Rabbit's still a little risque too now.
That's true. That's true.
So I mean, that's in the simplest way of putting it. They're gonna have to change, and they're gonna have to evolve also, and so. Yeah. You're just going to see different things. I mean, it's not the first time that we've seen this, and it's more fun that they're doing it. But, this whole show is supposed to be, I think this show is doing a lot of lifting for, like maybe making Deadpool a little bit more acceptable, and the fourth wall, the things that they're saying and doing, and the character is very much on her toes with her mouth, like she's very quick to bring a quip. So
they have a great chemistry. Her and Mark Ruffalo in this episode had a great chemistry back and forth. It felt like they were family or old friends. They know each other for a long time.
We're getting that butt tight, up tight. I'm your cousin.
Yeah. I will say that she seemed like a really fun drunk too. Like,
how big like a really was that damn Jeep though? Good Lord of mercy!
It was the Hulk's Jeep, right? It had to be big.
She was like. The steering wheel was like this. She little.
I'm
sorry.
I drive that. All right. Anything else about She-Hulk y'all want to say? Points you want to bring up? Any scenes in particular you want to talk about? I think we covered quite a bit of it.
Yeah, I don't think I can talk about everything. I'm like, it's a whole lot happened, and like the whole. I think I watched it twice. I may not have finished it the second time. I think I skipped forward to like the Captain America fucks part, because I'm like, like that, because it was full circle they were talking about when the car crashed, and they bring it back at the very end, and I'm like, it's just hilarious to me. Well, so much.
We're only through episode 1, which is awesome. I'm looking forward to the rest of this series. Every Thursday, right? Which is different for Disney. They usually drop it on Wednesdays, right? But every Thursday, new episode comes out. So
there's going to be overlap a little bit, but I think that's also why they pushed Andor back a little bit. Okay. Maybe so that there won't be overlap. But Thursday's turned into a weird day, man. Like, we're supposed to get the first 2 episodes, I think, of Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings show, to come out on Amazon Prime, who also hosts Thursday Night Football. I don't understand why you're going to compete with yourself.
That is weird, yeah.
And then
it's like you said, that's the Disney problem right there. I have money. I'm just buying stuff. And I'm not going to lie. If you have the opportunity to buy the rights to the NFL, it is the longest running, most popular, most money-making television show in the world. Like, hands down. Like, it's surpassed baseball. Like, it's crazy. Like, insane how much money is spent on football. But
I can't watch baseball, dude.
I can watch playoffs. I can keep up with it.
I'll try.
But hockey,
I do
basketball,
better like
football.
when I'm sitting. I do better watching it live than I do watching it on TV.
There you go. I can go watch a game. I can go to a game, no problem. But
I'll watch it in the beer garden all 9 innings.
Dude, Thursdays, man, dash games. Telling you, good stuff. No, I don't know. I'm a hockey, football, basketball guy. I can watch that, and it sucks because with all those sports, there's like a 4-month period or 3-month period where none of those are going on. It's so terrible. And I'm in that right now, but it's about to end. So
tell me, man, F1's on their mid-season break, on their summer break, and I'm like, it's been almost like a month without a race. I'm like, I'm a humongous F1 fan. Bring it back, come on, like I need it.
where do you watch F1 at? Like, how do you is it on? Like, do you have to pay for a package for that, or is there somewhere you have to go? Like,
No, I'll tell you about it afterwards.
okay, gotcha. Because I wouldn't mind watching some racing. Look, I love competition. I love any kind of sports, any kind of competition. I get it. I love racquetball. Come on now.
It's on ESPN. If you have anything that can get ESPN, it's on there, and you can watch it on demand. So
I still pay for cable and have every streaming service, so I should be able to find it somewhere, and a Fire Stick. So
I log into ESPN.com and then get it there. But there's alternatives.
All right. All right. Well, anything else about She-Hulk?
I'm looking forward to episode 2. Let's put this.
I'm looking forward to episode 2 as well. I had fun with this show. My wife likes it, which is awesome. Something we can watch together that I can put on, and she's not like, oh.
There's just a little part of me at some point it's gonna go off the rails. I just have this feeling it's just gonna go out there and then rein itself back in.
I got you.
I don't know what it is, but I just have this feeling. I don't know if it's just because maybe it's the fourth wall. I don't know. It's just I get like Deadpool vibes. It's just kind of weird. You know, you just feel like it's gonna go, something's gonna get wild, and then it'll come back in. But I kind of hope so. I mean, let it get crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, Richard May. Work Calgary Flames for life. Nah, can't do it, man. Canes all the way. Yeah, Canes. Yeah.
Only time you root for a Hurricane.
Well, hockey games are so fun to go to. That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we get them in North Carolina every year.
That's why I'm glad I'm not that close. I'm not that far. I'm not that close to the coast anymore. So
shoot,
by the time if we get anything, it's like just a little windstorm.
That ain't funny. That ain't funny.
Yeah. Been there, buddy. I've been there. Been there.
Well, all right. Well, let's move on then. We got one more thing to talk about tonight. And y'all have anything else about She-Hulk?
No, close it down.
All right, let's do it. Let's go to the Sandman.
Y'all talked me into it.
Yes, you didn't want to watch it. You thought it was horror. You're like me.
Well, I had like kind of read like a little. It's not like a little synopsis, but I guess from what I understand, it gets a little crazy towards like the end,
the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. I wouldn't classify this as horror. The way I explained it to people at work, because they asked me about it too, is I would say it's like Chronicles of Narnia meets Constantine, the movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mixture between those two. The horror level is about Constantine level horror. I wouldn't consider it horror,
like more,
but it's a little, yeah,
like psychological stuff. You're like,
that's my thing. I have a hard time watching somebody mutilate themselves or watching somebody intentionally cause physical harm to themselves. It's hard for me to watch. That for me is like horror. Like, so there is some of that in this series. But it's not like insanely bad. I was able to get through it. I'm just fine. I slept last night. No nightmares. I'm good. So, but the main thing is the Sandman audio drama that came out on Audible had to have been 2.5, 3 years ago. That was my first audiobook ever. Chris Balga and Nathan recommended it to me, and I was like, all right, I'll check it out. Honestly, is probably one of the favorite books that I've ever listened to or read. Like, it was fantastic. And this series, I think, runs right along with it. There are certain things in my mind that when I was listening to the book that I would imagine and I see on screen, and it's nothing like I imagine at all. There's a lot of things that I see and it's exactly what I pictured it as. Like the main character, the guy who plays Dream, exactly what I imagine him to be like. Look, sound, everything exactly. Of course, I think James McAvoy plays Dream or Morpheus in the audiobook because it's an audio drama. But for me, that was perfect. That was right on point. I loved it, and I was like, okay, I can get into this. I don't remember as much of the book as I would like to, because once again, it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and I don't have the best memory, but I do remember, some things from it. I don't know how well this follows the book exactly, but I know that it's got a lot of key points. Like, there's a lot of stories in this that I remember specifically from the book. Now, I think that the Sandman series ran for almost 10 years and had 75 different books. So there's a lot of different stories they could pull from, which is cool because they could do more than just what at least I heard in the audio drama, which I'm interested to hear from. But for the most part, from what I see, this follows along the lines of what the audio drama is. It's just slightly different orders. I think through the first five episodes, it sets up the universe, sets up who everybody is, gives you an idea, and then you go into stories with the Sandman. And I think through the book, the first 5 episodes are told sporadically throughout the book. Like you're learning that as you go. There's different time jumps, and there's these stories that are in the actual on-screen version that are sparsed in there in between the main story that is the first 5 episodes. So, and that's what I take from it. But once again, I haven't read it in a long time. But I'm really enjoying the series. Like, I really can't wait to finish it. So, sorry, I talked forever there. I went on about it. I mainly went on about that because the one time I did a Sandman review with Chris Balga, I forgot to hit record until about 45 minutes in. Yeah, and it was bad, man. It was bad. I felt so bad. And it never made the air, never got out. So I think I have like the last 20 minutes of it when I finally hit record. But other than that, it's never going to see the light of day. But anyway, I talk a lot. What do y'all think? Sandman. Sarah, Ross, you watched the whole thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sarah, you're through 2 episodes?
Yeah, the first 2. Okay. I like the building of the story. Like I said, I know nothing about Sandman. I know nothing. I'm just walking in 100% blind. And I mean, I like the fantasy aspect of it. Like I said, I was watching it because I actually watched both of them, both episodes last night. So I was like laying in bed watching it, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's a crazy world. It's just a crazy world. I mean, it's just, the way they set it up to where I guess the one fella thought he wanted to trap death, and then he ended up with Dream instead, which I thought that was kind of crazy because like with the way you see him, he just comes out and he's like just got all his shit going on, just like what is going on. And so it was a positive like first impression. Let's put it that way, because I'm like, as long as it's building on the story, because I like how it built to where it did. If you kind of like, what is this, and it kind of did answer your question. At least I felt like it did. Mm-hmm. Now you're going into where I did watch half of the. I think I watched about half of the 3rd episode where he's actually looking for his he's starting to look for his items and that kind of thing. So, but it's just like the people in it, it's just, some of them are just so bizarre. I mean, it's like even oh God, what was her name? The girl that basically, she took everything. God, what was her name?
The one that slept with.
Yeah.
Or the one that had his kid.
She's an interesting character. I'm curious to see how, I mean, even though when you see her again, she's older, but yet you're like, okay, how old are you? But I think she's going to be, pretty stout. But
you're asking the right questions.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. You're asking the right questions. So.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's got my attention. It's not where it's and then bringing in the Constant. What's she called? Constantine. Mm-hmm. How was her name pronounced? Is that how it's
Constantine?
It is Constantine, but they pronounce it a little bit different. So I'm just like, oh, because that's what you guys told me. Like, it's got the Constantine vibes. I'm like, oh, interesting that this name's in it.
Fun fact: in the book, it's actually John Constantine. They changed it for the live action to Joanna Constantine.
Yep. They weren't privileged to use the rights, so they had to change it.
Well, she's pretty much, She's got the John Constantine vibes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Which is so funny that you can take the last name and basically the character, because she did a great job in the role, like basically the character, and this is not the same.
But it's
like, okay, all we did was Joanna and make it a female, but it's the same. Like I don't understand.
She's a mix between John Constantine and the John Constantine wannabe that's in Doom Patrol. What's the guy's name that sees the horse head?
Yeah.
I'm like, those two, I was getting the vibe on that one. I'm like, next thing I'm going to see is a damn horse head and shit's going to get real weird.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, so Sarah, the first episode, if I'm trying to remember, like he is entrapped.
Yes.
Does he get out in the first episode?
No.
At the very end? It's the second episode? Okay. So if that's the case, then like the first episode and the second episode, and then like him retrieving his tools, like I said, those stories are like in the background of every story like that you hear in the audio drama. It's like you'll hear a story about like you see an episode here, and then you'll hear a story about the next part of him getting his tools or him escaping, being captured. It's really, really well done. What y'all think of like seeing Ares? Actually, have you seen Ares yet? You haven't met Ares yet. The character who played Ares in Wonder Woman. He's one of the characters in this.
Oh yeah, that's the son.
Yes,
yeah.
John. Yeah.
Like I said, I think that was in the third episode, because that's when she walked in. Because who's the other guy, the one with the no eyes?
The Corinthian.
Yes, because that's when he found her, because that's when Dream started looking for Morpheus. And that was his name, Morpheus?
Mm-hmm.
Shit, I can't. That's
Dream's name?
Yeah. That's when he finally started, because he saw the fates, and then they told him, he asked his questions. But I thought it was funny, because it's like, you ask your questions, you're like, where's this? And they say, well, who has it? You asked your one question. You asked your one answer. I was like, damn it. He did it 3 times.
Yep.
I'm like,
all 3 times he did it.
Yes, exactly. So I think that was about the time when I think I kind of fell off. Was like when Corinthian was talking to her about the son, and then that's when she went to see him. So that was like your first introduction for him, and to see his age versus hers, you're like, yeah, there's something shady going on. This chick, there's something shady going on with her.
Oh yeah. So Rick says it sucks DC wouldn't let them use Constantine's name. You'd think with that DC would learn from Disney Netflix issues over Marvel material and loosen up a little. Look, I think DC is admitting right now they're learning from Marvel completely.
I don't think DC has learned a damn thing.
Well, with their 4th or 5th 10-year plan in the last few years. But no, I agree with you, Rick.
The picture you sent in the group chat was perfect.
Yeah,
it was like 10 years ago, and then 10 years ago, and then 10 years ago. They keep saying the same thing, but they keep not doing any of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But no, I agree with you 100%, Rick. Like, and in fact, me and Ross were talking about this before we even went live. Like, I think it's so stupid how even whenever you have a company like Fox who has the rights to this, and Marvel, who is so successful and makes so much money and does such a great job of what they're doing, wants to use this, why would you not be like, okay, use this character and give me some money?
Exactly.
Like, why would you not do that? It doesn't make any sense to me at all why you would not do that. So I 100% agree. Loosen up a little. Let's see. Everybody can make money. Everybody can make money this way. It's so crazy how they do that. But I find it more crazy that all you had to do was change it to a female and say Joanna, and you can still use Constantine. I would think that Constantine.
But you don't say, like I said, you pronounce it differently though. But you pronounce it differently.
Yeah.
Constantine.
Depends on where you're at. It's all about the accent.
That's true.
I have no knowledge of any of this.
Okay.
I walked into the Sandman completely blind. I'm going to tell you right here, right now. I watched the first episode. The second one started on its own, and I gave it like a couple days because I didn't really care to keep going. I was lost. I'm going to tell you my biggest problem with it.
Okay.
I don't like the main character.
Really?
I don't like the actor. I don't like the fake tears that are in his eyes. I don't like how he comes across. And that is clearly all based on me. I mean, Greg just said how much that he actually liked the character, how much it came across in the books as the same type of individual. But I'm not buying it. Like I watched I stopped watching after the second episode because of him. And I didn't understand like what was going on. I was kind of really confused on why they would make it so easy to start off with. Like, why do you jump right into him getting caught? Where does it begin there? And I'm like, well, this all must be based on the story. So I was fine with that, but I just didn't give a shit because he's in his head and he's not doing anything. He wasn't making any sort of like a positive move forward. He was stuck in a bubble of glass. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, well, It's like tapping on like the fish aquarium. Like, well, when does it do something? Like, when does it move? Like, is it hungry? Does it need food? I don't understand. Like, what's going on? I sat there waiting for it, and then I turned it off and didn't come back to it for like a good couple of days. The third episode, I started to get a little bit more involved because I like the Joanna. I like the twist on it. She was interesting. It brought me back into it, but I didn't feel like any of the characters in the first 2 episodes did anything for me.
I don't know. I felt like the Morpheus. I felt like with him sitting in it, to me, that was more sinister. I don't know. I think I bought that more so because of I couldn't see as any other way because I could just see like the reserve list. It's like this. It's not like it's like a real person. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think that's the thing about it. You can't think of him as like a person because
Yeah, but when he came out and went on his little treasure hunt of his items 3, it was still, I'm still sitting there. I'm like, I need something. Like every time we cut back to him, I don't want it anymore. Like I'm good with all the other stories. And so when I actually reached that point of the psychological episode, where it only gets gory at the very end. So I mean, like if you know it's coming, you can just not watch it. You can just mute that sucker and or you can turn your head and still listen to it. But it's extremely psychological, and I really enjoyed from that point forward, because what I'm going to tell you without spoiling it is that as much as you already said it, this tells many different stories. And I don't feel like we got to the good story until we reached that episode. Not even then, until after that episode. I think it took a minute for them to really get their traction for me.
Mhm.
And once he stopped complaining about like all of his stuff that he lost that got taken away from him, and there was a threat, like what felt like a good threat, the second half of the season actually told a story in my eyes. And so like I'm really interested to see what you guys, once you guys get there, like what you really think about it.
I get that. Well, I mean, like I said, I know I had to step away for a second, but when you started there, you were talking about you didn't like the character, the actor, or at least his portrayal of the character first. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it's just because I think honestly it's his voice because it sounds just like the voice in the book and the audio drama I listen to. And so for me, that's what sticks in. It's what Dream's voice sounds like. He sounds very, very similar to James McAvoy in that book. And when I hear a voice, that face and those mannerisms match for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I get it. You're right. There are some things about it because my wife even thought the little bit she was watching it, but she was like, it's kind of a weird guy. And I was like, yeah, but I think he's supposed to be a weird guy. Now, the first 5 episodes set up the universe, especially the first 2. Like the first 2 are what makes his entire run be able to have stories, because it makes a problem that could be infinite problems, and it could be an endless number of problems he has to fix based on what's happened to him in the beginning. So it's what you have to have in there but I get it what you're saying. It is weird to see him not communicate at all while he's in that glass little tube, because I feel like being in there for that long I would. But I think this guy's a little smarter than me, or got a little more I don't know.
Well, he's just that he's monotone and he's silent, and he doesn't exactly move with the speed of the wind, and so the whole time I'm waiting for something, and I'm not getting it. And I don't ever really feel like throughout this whole entire season like I got what I would expect from the Sandman. And maybe, like I said, maybe I'm just not a fan of the actual Sandman character. It
could be, yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I liked a lot of the other characters that they brought into this show.
Okay.
I liked stories that they told with those characters. The Corinthian was, is just a fun time.
It's kind of a
Mr.
Mr. Anderson
over
type.
the top. Yeah. And so it's very interesting to see the direction that they went. But where they started and where they ended this season felt completely disconnected to me, and not in a horrible way, but like I was much happier at the end of this season.
Okay. Well, the whole series ran from 89 to 96 at 75 issues. So there's a lot of story to tell. So I'm wondering if they're going to have a second season with it. It was actually the first comic to ever be featured on New York Times bestseller list. So it's a classic, I guess you could say. Even though I didn't discover it until a couple of years ago. But I don't know, man. I think it's one of those things that if you're passionate about it, something you really enjoy, like you're gonna. I feel like maybe I have rose-colored lenses on when I watch this. Like I already know I like the story, so it's gonna take a lot for me not to like the live action. I'm not saying you don't like it, but I totally get what you mean. Like the second half, I'm into episode. I'm about to start episode 9. I think I'm on 8, about to start 9. It's a different story. Like you have these characters, you have them established, the power sets, most of the rules of what's going on. So now it's just meeting new characters and going on new adventures, Anybody? Uh-oh. We lost Ross. I don't know what happened. I wasn't paying attention to the screen.
Well, Ross. All I have to say, if they take out another gargoyle, that's going to be it for me. That tore my nerves up. That got me.
Yeah, the loss of Gregory. I can safely say that I don't think, at least to the point I've seen, they haven't taken out another gargoyle yet. So,
dude, that was rough. That was rough. Oh my god,
I would have a gargoyle. Yeah,
that was rough. And then to take out his bird, I was like, son of a bitch! Oh my god.
This is a pissed Ross off. He left.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know he was there.
I wasn't even looking at this screen. I was reading off an IMDb screen, and I came back and Ross was like, "Wait a second." But so Sarah, you're through 2 episodes. Like you knew nothing going into this. Like, do you want to finish this? Like you said, it's caught your attention. Like,
yeah, enough to be. It's got like that fantasy sci-fi vibe to it. That's the kind of stuff that it's like I said. It's got it. And even if Ross doesn't like the main guy, I mean, he's still got enough of that mystery of like, I'm like, what is this dude all about? I mean, what's going on here? Because I mean, especially because I'm to the point now where he's looking for the first item or his first tool, and I'm like, I want to see how these tools actually work, because when you see in the first episode, he's got, what does he call the mask?
The helm.
The helm. And then you got the ruby, and then you got the sand. Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious. I'm like, okay, what exactly does all this do? So it's just my curiosity. Like, what's that supposed to do? Why you need that? What is, if you're supposed to be some kind of, I don't know what even kind of damn being he is. I mean, it's just crazy.
So Nathan's in the chat, and he says he loved the first arc of Sandman comic and the first 2 seasons of the audio drama. I actually haven't listened to the second season of the audio drama yet, but Nathan, you might know how closely related to the first audio drama is this series, if you've even watched it.
Everything that I've heard, I mean, Gaiman has basically said that he's been proud of what they brought to the screen based off of the stuff that he's actually written. Okay. And so like I said, I know nothing about it because I have no background in any of the Sandman lore. I just know that I've also heard other people say that before about TV shows. So, and I didn't really feel like it was very well connected. Mm-hmm. But at least Gaiman actually came out and said it like himself. Someone else didn't say it.
Right. Well, I mean, for me, like I said, I listened to the first season of the audio drama, and I remember a lot of the stuff that's in there, but there's some things that I'm looking at and I'm like, I don't remember this at all. And it may be just me not remembering it, or it may be a slight adaptation to be on screen, or more story that I haven't read. Could be something not included in the first audio drama. It's all I've read or seen of it that, they're putting in the show. So, and who knows?
Dude, I read books all the time. Like, I like to read, stuff every once in a while, but at the end of the day, like watching movies and television shows really is the quick way of getting that, right? And especially when I watch something that I really enjoy and that it does have like a book or something like that, 1 out of maybe 5-10 good things that are like that for me, I'll go back and read. But I'll take it back to Star Wars again. Star Wars has always been the thing that after Star Wars, we had nothing. And then the books were the only thing that filled in that void.
Right.
before the prequels, and then after the prequels came out, and then after everything else. They're big on their books. I just never sat down to actually read any of the Sandman comics, or ever get into the actual audiobook. Because I know that when the audiobook dropped, and I know that when they were promoting the living crap out of it, I was already deep in 6 other things, and I couldn't get any one of those finished. And so jumping on to the Sandman was not something that was high on my list because I was already way back behind with the backlog. So I just know that watching the show, I liked it coming to the end. I really did. I thought that is very transformative in my opinion from the beginning to the end of the season. So,
Well, another cool thing that, of course, anything that if I want to know more about it, IMDb is like my BFF.
Always.
So it says every episode is named after an issue from the comic series, with the slight exception of 24/7, of which the original comic title was 24 Hours.
Okay. And I'm not going to show that's episode 5, I think. Sarah, when you get to that point, let me know what you think after that episode, because I think Ross, you said that was the episode where things started to catch your attention. For me, it was the episode where I was like, wow. It's a crazy episode
because
it really is.
What it did for me was, number one, it seemed real, but it was extremely dramatized. Like, I get that, but it seemed real, like real life. Like they were bringing something else into it. But to Sarah's point of her wanting to know what all of the the magical tools 3 do, it helped with that.
Yeah, and
it really started at the end of the episode before that. I guess episode 4. You started to see it. So I thought that episode did a lot of little things, and as much as it was getting into people's heads quite a bit, and it got gory at the end, it did quite a bit as an episode.
Oh, I'm sure I'm going to make a lot of headway this weekend. So
I hear you. Well, I know I've got 2 episodes left in the animated episode. It's funny, they've been trying to put this on screen since 1991 and never been able to do it. The original series was supposed to be 11 episodes. They cut it down to 10. And then, what was it, yesterday or today? They came out with an 11th.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday an 11th, and it's animated. So
it's like a 2-part animated, 1 hour long.
Okay. I don't know how much that has to do with what's going on, but when I get through episode 10, I'll just roll right into that because the algorithm will tell me to do it, and I probably won't hit stop on my on my remote. It'll just keep playing it. So
I think it has the voice actors from the audio drama.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Who do the voices for the anime characters.
Okay, cool. Well, I like that. All right. Well, that's all I got. I mean, I don't want to go too spoilers from the Sandman. I think we'll have it all completed by next week. We can talk about it. We've got She-Hulk episode 2 next week.
Yes.
What else is coming down the chute? I know
House of Dragons.
House of Dragons. Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me for covering that. Yes, we will. I did not watch Game of Thrones, but
which is great because I just want to know what you think about it. I just want to figure out what we're all thinking.
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard, you don't have to watch it to watch this and understand it. Now, I've heard that if you watch this and you've watched Game of Thrones, it will give you a lot of knowledge about houses and stuff you didn't know beforehand, but you can go into this blindly and still like it. So I'm going to give it a shot. And then afterwards, I'm sure it'll probably spark me to watch Game of Thrones. I know that if I get my wife into it, I'll end up watching Game of Thrones and this entire series probably by the end of next month.
So. Get you one of those cork boards and a bunch of pictures and some red string because you're going to have to connect some dots to her how these things definitely come together.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, you get like I said, Lower Decks comes out.
Lower Decks. Andor soon too, right?
Episode. Andor is back in 21st of September.
Okay, not too
they
far.
Bumped it back.
So we've got about a month. Not too bad.
Yeah, that's what was pissing people off when they came out with that trailer and they bumped it back. But you know what's funny? I mean, well, I'm not sure if they changed Bad Batch or not. I mean, Bad Batch was supposed to come out right after that. It's probably going to get pushed too.
Bad Batch, it's funny because it's one of those things that I forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of like what Umbrella Academy does to me every year. Or The Boys.
Look,
I forget about it until they start giving some advertisement, and then
it's not a show that I need, but I'm gonna watch it as a Star Wars fan. All that I'm trying to say is that it's weird that we're gonna have 2 Star Wars properties if it's still gonna keep coming. I'm not sure if it is.
Yeah.
I gotta read up on seeing if they even changed that date. And then Black Adam's in October. Wakanda and Willow for November.
Willow, man. Oh my goodness. Oh, let's do a Willow review of the old movie before that happens. I would love to do that because I haven't watched that movie in probably 30
Gaia.
I don't know. Let's definitely do a review of that movie, and I'm excited for Willow coming out. But yeah, we got a whole lot of stuff coming down the chute. That on top of football season. Oh my gosh, it's so great. Even the Panthers got smashed, but it's okay.
It's only preseason, dude. It's only preseason.
It's only preseason.
All they're doing is trying to fill out the rest of the roster. That's all they're trying to do.
White chocolate espresso. You say you've actually never seen it. Or do you mean Willow?
Game of Thrones, I guess.
Or Game of Thrones? Because if you've never seen Willow, okay, Game of Thrones, I can't get mad at you about because I haven't seen it. But if you've never seen Willow, check it out. Like, yeah. And I think that maybe what he's talking about, Nathan's talking about was the shit.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I haven't seen Willow in 20 years. I'm right there with you. I'm about the same. So it's
I watched it like 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
I think when Disney Plus dropped, I think it was on there, and I was like, you know what? I've watched everything else on here. I'm gonna watch Willow.
Why not?
Game on.
No. Well, it's kind of like whenever what was the new Black Crystal series came out?
Dark Crystal
series came out. My daughters loved the new series, and I was like, well, y'all should go back and watch the movie. So we ended up going back and watching the movie. And it's you don't want to show them the show first.
Yeah.
Just letting you know, you don't want to show them the show first. I mean, I get it. The show is a prequel to the movie, but just the fact of how much better it looks in the show than it does in the movie.
Well, it's a different time, things. It's gotten a little bit better over the years. I mean, it's like I said, I was watching Knight Rider the other night, the first episode, and I was like, holy shit, it's still cool as hell, but I'm like, whoa, we've come a long ways.
We have come a long way, yes. Mike says he watched Val Kilmer as a personal hero of his from the 80s. So I want to know what you feel about Ghost in the Darkness, a great movie of Val Kilmer that's never talked about. Nobody ever mentions that when they talk about Val Kilmer. Great movie.
No, that's not true. I hear it mentioned.
I never hear it mentioned. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you the last time I heard somebody say that movie. Goodness gracious. We should do that movie.
I do
watch that movie
because you mentioned it recently, but I also heard it like a couple months back. Someone was talking about it.
You do it with Katie, do a slice of film. Sounds like a plan. But this is so crazy because we've been talking for almost 2 hours now. We've gone through all our topics, but now we have like 6 or 7 people in the chat room, which we didn't have before when we started the show. So it's like, well, I don't want to leave with this many people in the chat room, but at the same time,
they wanted to skip the She-Hulk talk. Yeah, it's fine. I understand.
But at the same time, I got nothing else to talk about. Like we went through everything: Sandman, She-Hulk, Prey. We talked about what we're watching. We talked about news, some new trailers. Is there anything else y'all want to cover?
If you're not watching Harley Quinn, you got to watch Harley Quinn.
I'm not watching Harley Quinn. I watched the first episode of Harley Quinn, and then I just never came back to it.
It's stupid humor. It's fantastic. And whenever you get the chance, if you look, I know that we watch stuff because we're going to sit around and talk about stuff, but I'm telling you, it's a great show.
Sorry, Richard. I gotta mention this. So yes, Airwolf and A-Team. Yes. Yes. You are speaking my language now, buddy.
Mike says Panthers game got over in the chat, blew up. I imagine so because I had the Panthers game on this screen over here beside me, and I saw how it ended, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm glad I'm not in the chat room right now. Don't want to be on that panel at the moment. And White Chocolate Espresso says he hates Smart Hulk. We agree. I think that all three of us conferred that Smart Hulk is probably the issue we have with Hulks going on right now.
Yeah.
Give me Brute Hulk again.
I think
I need Bruce and Hulk.
I got one very
together.
Yes, and what I think that they can only do to redeem themselves is just as dramatically as they did that, is that they find a way to rip them apart, and it turns into literally like World War Hulk, or like taking it to the extreme. I'm
Well,
serious. You could do it. It could happen.
I was gonna say, do they ever want to get into any kind of Planet Hulk stuff or Red Hulk stuff? Like,
Oh
there's so many
gosh.
stories I could tell.
I know.
Did you just got to get away from this Professor Hulk persona? You know,
I think it's like a holdover. I think. I mean, honestly, I also feel like maybe it's a way for them to tiptoe around the whole Universal thing. I don't know. But
Well,
either
I mean,
way,
like I said, for She-Hulk, like I said, I can kind of understand the smart Hulk. I can understand the fusion of the two. But now, okay, I'm past that. Now y'all can break them
yeah,
back up.
right? Give me Hulk back.
Yeah.
and which it seems like they were trying to do. Uh, for anyone who hasn't watched it, I mean, it progresses a little bit different in the first episode of She-Hulk, but at the same time, I feel like they're going to do more with it during the season. When you asked and you said that you didn't think that Banner was going to be back in this whole entire season, I feel like that they are going to show bits and pieces of him. And like I said, why earlier that he does come back, I just want to see I want to see a division. I want to see something go really wrong. Like Smart Hulk was a bad idea, should never have done it.
Well, and do you think that maybe that with and here we are talking about She-Hulk again. Do you think that maybe with Jennifer Lawrence? God, what am I talking about? Jennifer
Don't know.
Walters,
Jen Walters.
Jennifer Walters.
being the way she is, that maybe that kind of sparks that whole, well, why the hell am I like this? Why the hell do I have two personalities? And maybe that sparks the urge to get rid of or separate the two.
No, simply because of the fact that he can't be one or the other. He chose
Which
to
he
be
can.
both.
Yeah.
He has to figure out how he can be one and the other without it like literally destroying, like ripping his head apart, being two different people, or however many different people he is. Like I said, it seems like he has some serious identity issues. So,
Well, I'm not familiar enough with Hulk comics. Is that ever a thing in Hulk comics where he can be just at will, just change to Hulk and change back to Hulk and have the two personalities? Like, okay, I'm going to change to Hulk, you take over. And then whenever I want you to, I'm going to be Banner again. I don't know if that's ever happened.
I don't know about change back. I mean, clearly changing two, it seems like doesn't have much of a problem with that.
Right.
Like be Ragnarok prime example. He throws himself from a spaceship and lands on, kills himself eventually.
He knows his triggers. Yeah. But he doesn't know how to get back yet.
What the comic books did teach us is that, like in one of the comic books, he kills his dad. Like his dad killed his mom. His dad went to jail. He went to go live with his family, which is why he was more family oriented. And then when his dad got out of jail, like he started screwing with him again, and then Bruce ended up killing him.
Wow.
And actually, he got to a point to where he was like, the cops convinced everyone, like, well, his dad did something that he wasn't supposed to, and like ended up getting himself killed. And then Bruce just kept on buying that story. So that's why I say, like, he was very, very Moon Knight-ish. Can't remember the dude's name, but he was very, very like out of touch with who he was. Really.
Do you know how old that comic is that you're referring to, or that story is? Because I don't. But
not very old.
Not very old? Okay, because I was going to say, it doesn't seem like something that's like 80s, 90s, 2000s Marvel.
No.
Maybe early Marvel, like Golden Age Marvel, or like New Age Marvel. Like, it doesn't sound like something that would be, but because it just...
I think it's fairly new. I don't remember the exact line, but I'll have to go back and take a look. Immortal Hulk, I think that's what he just said Mike did.
Oh, there we go. Immortal Hulk. Okay, cool deal.
As I said, it started with an I, but I couldn't remember like what it was.
He said, Rick says Wolverine Hulk buddy team in the Wolverine comics. It was awesome. It was awesome. And there's actually a Wolverine versus Hulk on Netflix, a short series. I don't know if they still have it on there, but it was years ago. It was kind of like the Iron Man Extremist. It was on there for a while. I don't know if it is now. That was pretty good.
So many stories. That's why I say we'll see what happens.
There's so much stuff to pull from. They'll never run out of material.
I just hope, like I said, Smart Hulk is hopefully just like a layover.
I think we're all kind of
the
in
next
that mindset.
destination.
Yeah, like you can take the Smart Hulk and give it to She-Hulk. She can be the Smart Hulk, and I'm cool with that because this is how she started out, and I accept her like that. But I want my Brute Hulk dummy back. So.
I need the Hulk smash. Okay,
That's right. Well,
amen.
Anything else, y'all?
No, I think we did it.
Cool.
That's it, fellas.
I do appreciate everybody who is in the show right now. Check us out. Give us a like. Give us or subscribe, because that always helps. And check us out every Friday. Well, every Friday or Saturday or whenever we get on here. But it's usually aimed for Fridays at 9 p.m. If we're not going then, I try to put it out on Twitter. That's the only form of social media I have. So if you're not there, you won't know. But if you sign up and sign up for the alerts, then you'll know every time we go live. So it makes sense. But I think it's time to get out of here, because I have been podcasting since 6:30 today, because I was in the C3 post-game show and watched the first half, and then I came straight here and did this. So I'm tired of sitting in this chair. It's been a while. So Sarah, where can they find you at?
You can find me on the Twitter at MyLadyKitten. That's where I am. Sometimes you can find me maybe on some other little socials, but for the most part, interact, say hey, got questions. It is what it is. I'm there. I'm always up for a chat.
Ross?
Here.
You're right. There you go. They hit him. That's why you got to come check out the show. If you want to talk to Ross, he's exclusive, man. You got to be on here. So, and then
no one comes.
hey, we had 7 people in the chat room tonight. So
like you said, Ross, you good people. We'll
vouch
for you.
And you can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter. It's my personal Twitter handle. Check out at GCS Podcast 1 is the show handle. We're here. We try to be here every week. If you're on the show, give us a like, give us a share, tell your friends, and be part of the show. You know, I try to be as interactive with the chat room as we can be. I post your stuff up there. We try to talk about the stuff you want to talk about. This show is kind of built by fans for fans. So I modeled it after the C3 Panthers podcast, which, by the way, if you're a football fan or a Panthers fan, check that one out too. Really, really good show. I'm liking that one a lot. But all right, y'all, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to bed. Actually, I probably won't go to bed for like 2 hours, but I'm going to try to go to bed. So y'all have a great week. And until next week, keep pounding.
Bye, guys.
Captain America.